Hey, alright, welcome to the Week 7 team builder for the NSTL. This week I'm prepping for King Bub and the Munchlaxster United, another, soccer England team. Gotta be. I don't know. It's gotta be, though. So, just real quick, there was a transaction in the last 2 weeks. I botched it in the last battle, but I had 4 points left over, so I dropped cast form and picked up lantern for 5 points. So cast form went 1-1 in the whole season, which is like good enough. I wish there was a way to keep the KDs for mons that get dropped. But no, they just get deleted off the team sheet and all that, so it's fine. So his team, let's go over real quick. Pretty spooky. The this is like the fastest team I've ever had to prep for. Okay, if I have the speed advantage, I didn't order the speeds because I did it on my phone. I've been prepping on my phone recently because I haven't been on my laptop as much. Also, this just a little spoiler: this team builder is post battle, just so you know that I'm not pretending I'm great. So yeah, very fast team. Just one, two, three, four, five, 6 things 100 plus, and I have two. So I don't know. Just really quick, what I think of the thruster. Obviously, Pikimiku's garbage, trash town. Miss Magius is mostly bad because it's like it would good damage on you. Sure, Hydreigon would have an okay matchup against it. Outspeeds could damage Nidoqueen. It could Will-O-Wisp most of the things on my team. It could Dazzling Gleam Hoopa. It could have Energy Ball. It's just it outspeeds a lot of things and it can get decent damage off. So it's not it's great. It's not it could sweep me, but especially if it had Substitute or something, it could really scare me. And the Z move doesn't help. Miltank's a pile of garbage. I don't have a fighting move. I don't have a fighting type to hit this thing. The best I can do is bring Focus Blast on different things or stall it out if it doesn't have Heal Bell. Absol, I'm just Mega Mawile. This thing is actually sort of okay, but it would have to kind of be mixed. At the very least, Quagsire and Weezing handle it alright. Terrakion, same thing. If it's banded, it can damage basically everything. If it's scarfed, it outspeeds everything. Spoilers, not bringing Scarf Tornadus this week. That didn't work. Shaman, same thing. I don't have a lot for grass type, and subseeding and all that can be obnoxious. Togekiss is just a bulky motherfucker. Scizor probably should have been orange because besides Quagsire, which gets hit by U-turn really well, and Weezing, which gets hurt by Bullet Punch, still decently well. This thing's a pretty big threat. Scolpede, I just figured I have Nidoqueen, I have Weezing, I have stuff to do, I have Tornadus even. Stuff to do with you. Megalodios, same thing. I've prepped really hard for Megalodios, so I don't know. I have a lot of Dark and Fairy types I've won well. So whatever, that's the team. Just my logic. I was actually torn between. I forgot to fix this. I was torn between Hydreigon and Quagsire. Hydreigon basically was just going to be a Scarfer to outspeed something like Megalodios if it's set up or whatever, but it literally couldn't do anything against the rest of his team. Sounds like Miss Magius as well. Miss Magius and Megalodios were the only thing I would bring it for, and I was I'll actually just avoid a hyper offense this week. So I did end up going with Quagsire, as you can see. So let's just go over my logic for here. Weezing's real tough. Weezing gets so many good moves, so I don't know. It's if I want to bring Toxic and Will-O-Wisp, just Will-O-Wisp. If I want to bring Haze, if I need more or less damaging moves. But I basically determined I needed Flamethrower and Sludge Bomb because without Flamethrower, Scizor walls this thing, and if it's Swords Dance, I just lose. And Sludge Bomb I needed because something anything that gets Substitute basically could totally ruin me, especially if I don't outspeed. So I need to possibly break subs and just do stuff. I went full defense. I'm minus speed for a reason. You'll see that in a while if it's not obvious. So I mixed my defenses because I figured, okay, this thing will be taking hits from something like Terrakion or Miltank or Scizor, but I needed a lot of special defense because this thing is partly built to deal with Shaman and Togekiss. Because if I can Toxic those things, Sludge Bomb them, stall them out, it's important. Same thing even if I need this thing on Latias in case he doesn't bring a Psychic move. It could be useful to have take Dragon Pulses and stuff. So I just needed it mixed mostly for Shaman and Togekiss, especially because Shaman gets things like Psychic. And I didn't bring Haze because I have Quagsire in the back there with Unaware, so it's like I figured this thing couldn't get set up on that badly, and even if it did, I could go into Quagsire, presumably. So that was my logic. So yeah, Toxic to stall out things like Shaman, Togekiss, Miltank if I need to, Sludge Bomb and Flamethrower to damage things like Scizor, because I need Flamethrower for Scizor like exclusively. Shaman, even Terrakion. Pain Split just to keep this thing healthy. There's a lot of things, like if he's seeding me with Shaman, or if he's roosting with Togekiss, I can get my health back, and not have to worry about it. And at the very least, make them, like, keep them whittled, even if I have to, like, 1-for-1 this thing with something else that's slowing me. So, okay, here's Mawile. I'll get into why I laughed there in the battle, so just don't worry about it. But the fact that this team builder is post-com may have like really ruined me. I had no time to do it. So this thing probably should have been 4 or like I don't know why it's 8 defense. That should have given it away. Whatever. Okay. So this should be that. So I brought Play Rough because it kills basically everything. Fire Fang because it kills Scizor, and Sucker Punch and Storage Stance just in case I get a chance to set up, and things like Scolipede and Megalodios that could outspeed me and damage with like EQ or Terrakion, even if it's like low enough, I could damage. So I figured this is a very like easy bring, and intimidate and all that. So like Mawile is very straightforward. I'm basically gonna start just bringing this thing like this most of the time because it just seems to be what works. Although speed creeping can be useful, but certainly not in this match. What am I going to try? Speed creep Scizor, or just going to get a Bullet Punch? Doesn't make any sense. So I took the bulk, and I think these moves make sense. I don't really need Iron Head besides like Togekiss, but like Play Rough still does infinite damage, and I have switches for Togekiss. So I don't know. This thing's fine. It's very not. I don't know. Like potentially, I could have brought more coverage or brought Substitute instead of Source Dance. There's lots of things you can do. So it's just how it goes. So Tornadus. This week I brought Hurricane just because I need damage on things like Megalodios potentially, Shaman and Togekiss, instead of bringing Sludge Bomb because whatever, and then Miltank, especially like Hurricane could potentially 2-hit KO that thing, maybe. I'm Speed Creep down, obviously didn't to outspeed normal Scolipede, and I was kind of worried about Scolipede. I didn't want this thing to be able to just like get me late game if like Weezing goes down, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh no, like you get EQ and roast the rest of my team. So I brought Chartyberry to resist the potential Rock Slide. Same thing for potentially like Scarf Terrakion could come in, and I could tank a hit if necessary. So I thought Chartyberry was a pretty smart move. I have Psychic basically like for the Terrakion, and because I could, I figured I didn't want Defog, I didn't want things. I just figured like if I outspeed Terrakion, Psychic is gonna be really good and not relying on Hurricane hitting, which sucks. Heat Wave is obvious for Scizor, and U-Turn for U-Turn Shenanigans because this thing's fast. So I'm at, I got rested in HP, just max special attack, try to get much damage. The fact that this thing outspeeds his whole team is good, and that's why I'm worried about Scarf Terrakion. I figure Scarf Terrakion's his like best option for a Scarfer if he brings one. But when he has things like Scizor, you never know if he's gonna just rely on priority and rely on Scolipede having speed boost. You don't really need a Scarfer when you have a built-in free Scarfer that lets you change moves. So that's my logic for all of this. I mean, like I said, I could have brought. I could have just been Assault Vest with this set. I could have just been. I could have brought something like Defog over Psychic or a Hidden Power for coverage. But I think this was like smart bring overall. Nidoqueen, I've Shukaberry again, once again for the Scolipede, potentially the Terrakion. I don't remember what I had before, if it was Earth Power, but I got rid of it for Focus Blast because I looked at Miltank and said, I can't touch this thing, and if it's like remotely specially bulky, Sludge Wave won't do enough, especially because I'm only slightly invested in, pretty invested in special attack, but not completely. So Shukaberry for Earthquakes because I think that's smart. Flamethrower once again for Scizor. Like I don't have any like good fire types or good like resist besides the Quagsire. So I was like I need these fire type coverages in case it comes into play. Sludge Wave for things like Togekiss and Shaman, which could be really good. Basically like I would roast Absol. I mean, another reason Miss Magius is kind of scary because I'd have to go for like Flamethrower or Sludge Wave. Not great. Flamethrower also hits Scolipede. Sludge Wave sort of hits Megalodios, but I'd probably just need to get out of there. Megalodios came in on this thing, and Stealth Rocks because besides he has Scizor and Togekiss for defogging, no Rapid Spinner, but Defog would get rid of his own rocks, which he has, Miltank or potentially Tracheon to set up. So I don't know if he would even bring Defog, but I didn't either, so I think it's fine. So I figured it's a pretty. I was looking at his team and thinking if he brings Miltank, it's a pretty solid lead, especially looking at my team. It's like, no, kind of, but like get us outsped, kind of. It's just like one of those things where I think Nidoqueen Focus Blast on the Miltank early could give me a lot of momentum, or could just trade rocks or whatever. So I don't know why I picked this specifically. If I did any calcs, or if I was just like, I need defense, but I also want to be able to hurt things, which kind of makes sense. I'm not entirely sure, but this is what I went with, and we'll see if it worked out or not. So now Hoopa comes in, and it's Trick Room, which I think is like makes a lot of sense considering I do not have a speed advantage whatsoever. Even if I brought my fastest like 4, Hoopa's my 4th fastest mon. That does, it's 80 base speed. It's not great. So I figured, okay, I had to give this thing minus speed to make sure. I think Scizor would outspeed normally with this or something, but it probably just Bullet Punch. But I put some bulk in defense for Bullet Punch. Non-banded, it does like, I don't know, like 50% or something. Like I can actually tank too. I put leftovers on because I figured this thing is like almost exclusively going to come in on Mega Latias, because Mega Latias, I've checked, doesn't get Signal Beam if he brings HP Bug. I mean, that probably still won't even do that much. Just better off bringing like Draco Meteor. So I figured it'd be easy to bring this thing on Mega Latias. Either get a Trick Room up, attack right away. I could have brought a Z move for stronger damage, but I liked the possibility of leftovers recovery. I thought it would just work. And so that's this thing. So obviously Fire Punch for Scizor, again Gunk Shot for Shaman and Togekiss, and Hyperspace Fury for everything else. So like Terrakion basically like quote unquote walls this thing, even though Terrakion's like a physical attacker, but I figure I have Weezing and Quagsire for Terrakion, so if he's really so bold it is to bring Terrakion in on this thing on a psychic type, especially if I trick him up, I really doubt he would, so it would just scare him out by being a psychic type. So I like the super side. I like the idea of Trick Room. It kind of sucks that everything on my team besides Tornadus is slow, and I'm trying to run Trick Room. That's a little like counterintuitive to a degree, but I mean I figured it would work. I figured I could switch into something slower if I needed to, and at least the first turn of Trick Room, if he goes to anything besides Terrakion or maybe Miltank, like would really work out in my favor if I can get a Trick Room up. So Hoopa is coming and Mawile is coming. I have Hyper Offense still, but I still have Weezing and Quagsire in the back. And then one more time, Quagsire is bulky, especially defensive for potentially Mega Latias or Togekiss. And I figured like the lack of physical defense would be fine, because at the end of the day I still have Unaware, so it's not like Scizor can set up on me. I mean, something like Terrakion, yeah, it's like I'll probably just have to counter and die. But I figured besides Shaman, I didn't see any like obvious grass. Maybe Mismagius, because I'm pretty sure I think it's Energy Ball. I didn't see a lot of grass types, so Shaman, it's an easy switch into Weezing or probably Tornadus. I was thinking Tornadus would come in on Shaman, just because if he brought Shaman, he would definitely bring Psychic. Like, that was my thought. So I was like, I'd be wary bringing Weezing or Nidoqueen in on Shaman, but Tornadus with his special bulk and Regenerator and stuff could come in. So I have Toxic to stall him, Recover to stall him, Counter in case something physical comes in and wants to get damage off. After if I'm starting to Toxic Recover, and Ice Punch just try to like break subs or something. I figured I didn't really need any other moves. There was another thing. I was just like, Mega Latias could sub on me, and that would be the end of it. I think Ice Punch would break a sub if he wasn't just like Bold Max Defense, which he could bring with Calm Mind. So there's that. That's like my logic for my team. I forgot to nickname them this week, so I didn't bother changing that. But like, also, who really cares? I mean, like, it's fun to have the nicknames, but whatever. So like, I felt okay about this team build. I figured like it's gonna come down to a lot of playing around, because I'm not used to having. Well, I mean, now that Weezing's on the team, obviously I didn't bring Lantern because it didn't have a very good matchup. I didn't really talk about my team members that didn't have good matchups. Like Sarina is just like Togekiss, Shaman, Scizor, just Scolipede gets just like dunked on. Abomasnow, basically another grass type, same reasons. Pyroar, it's just like Mega Latias, Togekiss, Terrakion Scarf would outspeed it. Not very good. And Lantern, same thing. Just like got a lot of potential Earthquakers. I don't have a great matchup with Lantern. It was okay, but not great. Mega Latias mainly for not bringing Lantern. Oh, Ice Beam, Toxic maybe. Better off with Quagsire for my Water type. So there it is. Like I said, like the Trick Room's scary because like basically if Hoopa goes down and I don't have Trick Room up, or I can no longer get Trick Room up or whatever, then all of a sudden Tornadus is my only fast thing. If Tornadus goes down, then I have to get Trick Room up to outspeed them. If those two go down early, then it's just like I just have to hope I can take hits and stall them the best I can. So I don't know. There we go. That's a team builder. I'll get into the battle after this. I'll have to talk for a little bit before the battle starts to explain what happened during the battle because it was not great. But yeah, there you go. Hopefully my build makes sense and you at least see where I'm coming from and don't disagree with what I brought. You don't look over here and be like, "Are you kidding me? No Aboma Snow for the grass polish?" Like it doesn't make any sense. So there it is. Cut the battle here and start the real battle or whatever. Words didn't make sense in a second. Boo. All right, so before the battle starts, you may even notice as looking at the screen, I messed up horribly, and I brought Mawile not at level 50 because things we've been using to build that like fix it that does like you have to do custom games if you want to be able to battle some of the time. So I guess we could have like made it OU, but like whatever. So the team builders default your guys to level 100, and if you build your guy as a mega, they come into the battle mega. So you can't have that. So before the battle started, I said, "Oh, I had been building Mega Mawile as a mega. I need to switch it to regular Mawile." Well, when you switch it, it goes back to level 100. This has happened before. A ton of people have done it. I did it right before the battle started. I waited way too long. It was completely my fault. It was really stupid to do it. So Mawile came to this battle at level 100. Now, I spoilers for the battle a tiny bit. We did not realize Mawile was level 100 until turn like 24 the first time. So we said, okay, like fuck it. We stopped. I said, I stopped it because I realized it was level 100, and we called in Gray, like the commissioner of the league, whatever you want to call him, and he was like, okay, like it's Showdown. You have this battle window still open. Just recreate the battle up to that point that you realized it, and then play from there. And like we were like, okay, like that's fine. That's fair. I mean, it's my mistake, but we'll go with it. So Bub agrees to it, and getting caught up in all the stupid shit. I didn't change Mawa's level until we started the battle the second time, and like stupid me, like once again I didn't realize it till we got to that turn. So at this point, Bub goes like, okay, well, like I'm actually kind of on a time crunch because like the battle should have ended the first time or even the second time. It would have been much less than an hour. So he was worried that he wouldn't be able to do a third recreate, which is fine, especially because we got really lucky with the first recreate, which is technically this battle. I'll get into that in a second, but that there wasn't like crits or like misses that like we couldn't avoid, or like passive effects or whatever, huge important damage rolls. So basically I suggested I suggested that from the point that we realized Mawile had not taken damage, like okay, still a little bit of spoilers. Mawile had not taken damage up to that point, and I said, what if we play the battle as though I don't have Mawile? So from that point, whatever I had left minus Mawile, whatever he had left, I said, if we can finish this battle with me not having Mawile and have it come to a conclusion we can agree on, we'll go from there. If not, we would try to recreate it the third time, or figure a way, have somebody figure it out. So agree with this, disagree with this. It's what we did. We basically said, okay, like the outcome will just be like a 0-0 win or a 1-0 win or whatever. Like we'd kind of like account for it if it wasn't fair to one of us. So like I'll talk about this more after you see what happened in the battle, and like please like give me your feedback on you if you think the conclusion and what we decided to go with was okay, or if you think we should have just like done the battle much later in the week and just waited time, because like people have been doing battles late all the time in this league. So I'll start the real battle here, and I just want to get that off, that like I'm gonna have to like retroactively defend my actions a little bit. I'm gonna have to justify the outcome, and we'll have to see. And So I'll talk about this more at the end with the context because you guys have like no idea what's going on basically. So looking at the team when he brought it in, I said, okay, this is exactly what I prepped for. I was worried about Miss Magus, but I didn't really think it would come. And I prepped for these 6+ Shaman, and Shaman didn't come. And I was like, oh, that's actually like totally fine. From the perspective, I was like, well, like Quagsire has a really good matchup right now, from my perspective. So, like talked about in the team builder, I was like, okay, well, Miltank looks like a great lead. And the little thing I want to mention is up to this point, I am 5 for 6 on predicting leads. It's just though when I lost to Brandon, I thought Manchow was leading. I just didn't like really account for it. And then when I battled Ellie, I was just like, or Charlie, sorry, whatever. I was like, I have no idea what she's gonna lead with. But like every other time, I've really been like good on predicting the leads, and that's been huge momentum swings in all of my battles. So from here, as I said, I lead with Nidoqueen, and he's going to lead with Miltank. So I felt really good about this. So keep in mind, this is the recreated battle. So everything actually happens exactly the same way, except for this turn one. This turn one, I hit Focus Blast. So we replayed it from turn 2 on. Everything happened like almost perfectly the exact same way. So I went for Focus Blast. I said, okay, Sludge Wave can kill. I don't know, maybe he'll switch out. No, he stays in, takes the Sludge Wave. I say, well, screw it. Okay, I should just get Rocks up then, and he gets back to full health. So from here, I'm just like, okay. Nidoqueen is pretty important. This is like a losing battle. This thing outspeeds me and can heal it all back. So I'm just like, okay, well, there's no reason to go in. I decided I'll go into Wheezing because it just seems like the thing to do. Because it's a Miltank, what can it do? And he goes for Earthquake. I was like, okay, that's great. I see Stealth Rocks, Earthquake, and Milk Drink. So I was like, Wheezing potentially completely walls this thing, or it doesn't have Toxic. So he goes into Scizor. Huge move. I could have Will-O-Wisped so easily. He didn't know whether or not I had it. But he's going to U-turn out, predicting the Toxic, and now predicting the Flamethrower. He's going to go into Latias. So very early on, Bub actually makes some great plays, and it puts me a little bit behind because, okay, here comes Mega Latias. I know it's going to stay in, so I'm going to go into Hoopa, which I knew was what my switch into this thing was. I knew I could take a hit. I knew I could take a +1 hit. So I'm going to take this time to take damage and take a lot of damage and Trick Room up. So leftovers right now coming kind of in handy because I took over half from that. So I'm going to go straight for the dark move. There's no point in predicting in case, he thinks he could potentially live. Although seeing that Dragon Pulse only did 48, I probably should have predicted, but it didn't matter. So Hyperspace Fury hits, does a decent amount, but I brought Gunk Shot for this thing. I just have to hit it. I hit it every battle. I hit the Gunk Shot. I said, that's huge. The momentum, swing from killing freaking Togekiss, super obnoxious, is incredible. So he goes back into Scizor. I say, okay, U-turn's, probably still super obvious. I'm going to go into Quagsire, although, I guess, Trick Room's still up, so U-turn's not really obvious. And I had minus defense from Hyperspace, so I have to go into the Quagsire. I'm going to go for a Toxic this turn, because I'm 99% sure he's Choice Banded Scizor at this point based on the 2 damages I've seen from him. So this is great. I Toxic the Latias. I basically, unless he has Refresh, I've put it on a timer. And here he goes for HP Fire. And I get a good chunk with Ice Punch. So now I'm like, okay, this thing can recover, it can refresh, I'll kill it. I'm in a great position. He has Energy Ball. So, entirely honest, I did not know Latias got Energy Ball. And if I did not think he would bring it. Actually, incredible bring on his part, because I don't even know what he saw that he basically knew, quote unquote. I would bring Quagsire or maybe Lantern, but so we've seen his whole moveset now. He didn't bring a Psychic move. I have Nidoqueen and Wheezing, and he didn't bring a Psychic move. So that's extremely good bring on his part. But the fact that he went for that Hidden Power Fire on the first turn, predicting something like Mawile, is actually incredible for me, because it let me get that extra Ice Punch and Toxic damage off, and had this thing been 17% healthier or whatever, or 12% healthier minus the Ice Punch damage. Actually, it would have been a lot. It would have been 40%, 50% healthier. That could have been really bad for me. This thing could have recovered, could have gotten a lot more damage off. I probably would have had to go back into Hoopa. It would have been a whole thing. So, great play on his part, great bring on his part, not great plays, but only because he didn't know I wouldn't account for that. which is awesome. So this thing lives on a sliver. Originally it was at like 17%, so the damage rolls. I think I just punched it a lot, but it doesn't matter. I go into Tornadus, I U-turn out. Like, why would I ever do anything else? So that's great. It's a KO for that, and I get Latias out of the way. So I go back into Nidoqueen. He goes back into Miltank. It's like I basically learned that I'm going to go into Weezing every time on this thing, which is fine with me. And he goes back into Scizor. It's like, okay, well, I can Pain Split here if he Ditch Truth damage me. I can Flamethrower, but I was like 90% sure-ish he was going to U-turn out because or just switch. So I do decide to go for a Toxic. I figured if he goes into Scolipede, I can just like stall the hell out of that thing, and like there's not a lot it could do unless you want to just like try to Sword Stance on me. But I can still Flamethrower it. So I do get damage off on this Terrakion through Toxic, which is awesome. And he goes for Close Combat, and I look at that damage, I go, okay, that's Choice Banded, which is actually really important, because now we know Tornadus outspeeds this thing. So I will go for Focus Blast, just in case he stayed in, wanted to try to go for Roll, or get damage, or go into Miltank. But here, it doesn't matter, because I take the Earthquake with Shuka, which is great. I'm glad that prep worked out, even if some of the rest of the prep didn't work out. So I KO that thing with Flamethrower. There's no point in preserving Nidoqueen. Everything outspeeds it. Everything kills it. So he Bullet Punches. I go into Weezing. I say, okay, I can live a Bullet Punch. I can Flamethrower if I want to. I can know I'm low on health and Pain Split. I decide I'm going to Pain Split in case he wanted to stay in. I get a lot of damage off on that thing. And I heal a little bit from Terrakion. Okay, so turn 23. This is the turn originally I switched into Mawile. He hit a Stone Edge, and it did like 12%. And I said, that's not right. And that's when I realized. So here is when I realized the second time, I still brought level 100 Mawile. And I was like, I'm the actual stupidest man of all time. Like, I'm so, like, I was so mad at myself. I was like, it kind of hit me where I'm like, okay, well, let's just do it again. And then the second he said, like, oh, well, like, I don't have a lot of time, I said, like, I'm probably going to forfeit this match. Like, that was honestly my opinion. I was like, you know, I'm up 4-3. I have a few different paths to victory, especially knowing Miltank's moveset, I believe. I don't know if we've seen Miltank's full moveset at this point, but like I feel there's a lot of like ways I can win this battle, and I'm just like, but like, what's the point? I've made a horrible mistake. So after kind of deliberating and being like, okay, we don't have time to recreate it a third time, this is where I suggested, I said, okay, let's play from this point, this very turn, and say, what if I don't have Mawile? So let's just pretend it's 3v3 right now. And we'll go from there. And he agrees to it, because Bub's a super cool guy. You know, I'm sure he was frustrated as hell. I was frustrated at myself, so I can only imagine how frustrated he was. But he didn't really show it. Like, you know, props to him. So we're going to play from here as though I don't have Mawile. So I'm just going to sack Hoopa. I say, okay, well, like, once again, that's just what I have to do. I need my other two to win this game. He hits the Stone Edge. It doesn't really matter because he could have just gone for another one. Taking more toxic damage, that might have mattered, but whatever. So I'm going to go into Tornadus. I'm going to go for the Psychic here. I didn't want to risk missing Hurricane. I didn't really expect him to switch. So he does go for Psychic, and I'm going to go for Hurricane just in case it's a damage roll. I can maybe kill him. No. Okay. So that's like, whatever. He Milk Drinks. I'm at full health. So now from here, I'm just going to U-turn, learn his Rocky Helmet, which is bad because Rock's damage has now been like initiated a little bit. And here we're going to see the Toxic. So now, knowing this thing's full moves, I know that Weezing 100% walls this Miltank. So anytime this Miltank comes in, I can potentially just like stall it out, basically. I know he doesn't have what's it called? Heal Bell now. So basically, if I can get this Weezing in on this Miltank without a Terrakion around, I can just basically like Flamethrower, Toxic every few turns, make sure I'm at high enough health, and just force him to let this thing die, or bring in Scizor on a Flamethrower. The second I get a Toxic on this thing, which I would probably wait to do a few turns, I would be Flamethrowing most of the time. So here I go, well, I now know this thing completely is walled by Weezing, cannot damage it. I go, he has to go into Terrakion. There's no way. I can't Pain Split health back from that Terrakion now. So I'm going to double back into Tornadus, predicting the Terrakion switch. works perfectly. This thing's now at low health, and here I can the okay. more hypotheticals. So here I can Psychic to try to kill it. I can Hurricane to try to catch Miltank in, or even like Heat Wave, but like that's just super dangerous. Or basically I can just go for Psychic, and if Miltank comes in, I can always go back into Wheezing. And at this point, Terrakion is potentially low enough where I can Sludge Bomb and kill it between Rock, Sludge Bomb, and the Poison of switching in, and then from there my plan of winning would be enacted, because then it'd be a Wheezing that can live a move from Scizor, and a Miltank they can't touch it. So here, but I wanted to win. Like I didn't want to have to risk like Scizor coming in, because he's already seen Psychic, and it's just like it's dangerous. Scizor has gotten low on health at this point, but I felt like I had to go for the Hurricane because it's about the same result either way. So here I could also switch into Wheezing. I go for the Hurricane. I go for the second Hurricane and hit. It's like super risky. I missed the first Hurricane, and then I had to switch out. And I guess my justification was I figured if I missed that second Hurricane, I'd be very surprised if he tried to attack me that turn. Like if he went for Toxic, I would have been pretty surprised. Because whatever. So I figured I could try to kill him now, force him to stay in basically, and then go into Wheezing next turn if he Milk Drain, and then maybe he could double into Terrakion. You know, it'd be a lot of plays, but I figured going for Hurricane there is a 70% chance, but the biggest payoff. So I felt like I quote unquote had to do it kind of just to like really feel secure in my win. So now I've gotten one Regenerator boost from the rocks. That means I can come back in at full and lose the 25%. I decided if I stay in here and die and come in with Wheezing and kill Scizor, then Terrakion will be able to kill me easily, especially based on this Bullet Punch damage. And now I have to hope I can live Bullet Punch with Tornadus. So one more thing, I calc this. I believe if he was just banded max attack, this is a roll, and I think it's a bit of a roll in his favor, but I'm not entirely sure if his EV spread was 252 plus or not, but it's literally damage roll. The whole match is right here. We know he's gonna go for a Bullet Punch. He has to. I live on 4%, and I hit the Heat Wave, and we already know I outspeed Terrakion, so that means the game's over. So here's where we go into weird hypotheticals here. So hypothetical number one: had I not messed up and just brought Mawile, had I brought Mawile at level 50 when I switched into that Terrakion Stone Edge, you know, that thing that would have done somewhere in the 30, maybe like in between 30 and 40% that Stone Edge would have done to Mawile. So now I have a like above 50% Mawile that I can mega up, gain much more defense, and I can live basically any hit he wants to throw at me. So basically on that point, I almost certainly would have play roughed. I think it would have been a roll to kill Scizor after rock switches, and then there would have been like Bullet Punch, Sucker Punch shenanigans, but I would have had Wheezing, Hoopa, and Tornadus all still alive to potentially sack or or switch in and take a hit. So from there it's like, yeah, and then I outspeed with Tornadus, so the Tornadus would have always still been alive. I had Wheezing, so I probably just sacked off Hoopa if I had to. You know, it's just like with that. It's like I felt like with Mawile there, like I was almost certainly gonna win this game. I mean, like it's totally hypothetical. I don't know what our mindsets were in that moment, but certainly like way after the moment, our mindset certainly changed, especially after trying to recreate this and being frustrated. I'm pretty sure you play differently when you're exasperated like that a little bit. And I like triple checked with him, and he said he's okay with it, and it's just like I still feel so terrible, but like I said, like, is this outcome okay? And he said like yes, like he's like it's all good. And I was like, oh my god. So hypothetical number one, I was probably gonna win this battle before the Mawile Snafu. Hypothetical number two is the one we lived out, where I still won the battle without Mawile. Now, that's like messed up to say. Once again, like the circumstances were changed completely. There's a lot of lag time between, the first game and the second game. So it's like it's really not fair to say that I could have just done this. Technically, yes. Had I seen Mawile was level 100 before I switched it in, and just like thought to myself, "Oh shit, I don't want to redo this or whatever," I could have just done how the battle occurred the second time from the start. Well, although like the bullet punch was a roll, so like you can't really argue. Like I didn't win this battle like 100% without Mawile. So like that's weird, but like technically like I proved I hate it, but I proved I could still win the battle even without Mawile. And I was just like I just feel like as stupid as it is, I mean like he was on a time crunch. We had already waited like an extra week and a day to do this battle. It was on Sunday, the Sunday we were supposed to be uploading. Like I mean, and that's not his fault. Life gets in the way, but like it's just like it was just tough. Like I don't know. It was just like I felt like the time crunch was just like generated from nowhere. But like it's not his fault. It's just like it's just frustrating. Like I'm just like I'm reaching for things to justify this. And it's like had we just been able to do it one more time, we could have just finished the battle. But like I think the main reason he said it was okay is because I think he knew like he was gonna lose. And I think like I don't know what would we have done had Bullet Punch killed Tornadus. I have no idea. I can't even fathom to think what would have happened because we both gained extra information from finishing the battle. So I have no idea what we would have done there, but I think the fact that it worked out this way is some sort of sign, real stupid as it sounds, that like it's okay that I won. And we went over it, and like the results will be that like I was just gonna say like treat it as though I only brought 5, but I guess that's kind of unfair to his differential, although it doesn't really matter. So we basically said we'll count it as a 1-0. Gray suggested we say Mawile gets a feint out of this, which I like. I'm fine with. So like Mawile technically goes 0-1 in this battle, and that's just what we went with. So like if God, if you think like I should have forfeited or we should have found it a different way, please let me know because like I'm just like I'm waiting for like someone to actually be like, no, like I think you guys did the best you could or something. Just like make me feel better, even though I don't really agree. I just like I'd love to be justified by somebody else. Like this is what we're going with. No one's said in the opposite direction. No one's been like, dude, you should like really forfeit. Which like if they said that, I'd be like, I know, but whatever. So I mean, I don't know. End result: Hoopa got a kill. Nidoqueen got a kill. They both go 1-1, and Tornadus went 4-0 here. So Tornadus is now in second place. I think it's +8 overall for the MVP race behind Mimikyu, which is on a team we haven't battled yet. So it was a really good game for Tornadus, especially considering it got the last 3 kills after we decided to change the rules, I guess. So I don't know. Like I feel kind of weird about that too, because like, Tornadus shouldn't have really gone 4-0. If anything, Mawile should have gone like 3-0 or something like at the end, or maybe I don't even know. Right. So basically, that's it. I'm splicing in some audio. I don't know if you realized it or not, but that's it for the battle. Next week we're playing Frost, and he inherited a team that wasn't doing so well, but he's won a couple battles now, so we can't count him out. But that'll be it. So once again, just please let me know what you thought, and I will see you next week for the next battle.